Trout Takes and Co., Jake Malensik, Matthias Andahar, the birthday boy this week. Want to give him a shout out. Happy late birthday, Matthias, at the incredibly old age of 24 years old.
Okay.
Unk status, mid
All right.
20s.
It's okay, Matthias. I'm just slightly older than you at the incredibly old age of 25. It's me, Andrew Hody, with you guys as well.
I got to call an early timeout. I just need to
Okay,
get this
what's
off
up?
my chest. Matthias, under no circumstances should you ever leave me on the phone with this man ever again. Because the stuff that I had to endure by myself was unbelievable.
Yeah, I knew once he mentioned Taylor, I'm like, yeah, I'm a dip.
No, and it actually got worse from there. The first thing him saying that Ella Langley, who I don't even know who that is
I don't
more
even know who
talented
that
than
is.
Taylor Swift was the best part of what he said, and I'm going to leave it at that.
And her album Dandelion is terrific. And I do enjoy Taylor Swift, but Ella Langley, I'm sorry, she's just got a great voice, and her new record Dandelion is spectacular.
I couldn't tell you the name of a single song off that.
Choosing Texas, it's #1 in the country right now, and Beat
Oh,
Her.
I have heard that. I didn't know that was by her.
Yeah, it's such a great song. Such a great.
Yeah,
I,
Boy.
fantastic. We're all
I
waiting for
have
another
not
pop.
been like a huge country fan historically until really the 2020s. And I do like some country music. I always liked Toby Keith, and I've always liked Tim McGraw. But I've been listening to a lot of Ella Langley and Morgan Wallen lately, and I'm not complaining at all. Both of them incredibly talented and have great records and great music. But we got some sports to talk about today, boys. Hope you had a great week. Great to be back with our viewers again. We have some comments to read at the end of the show from reaction to last week's video, so we will get to that later on. But let's start things off. We'll do how's about 8 minutes on the NFL draft. We're not going to make this a whole special on the draft because it hasn't happened yet. We can't give like our thoughts and predictions on what's going to happen, but I think we could automatically say what I think all of us know what's unanimously going to happen first overall, and that's Fernando Mendoza going #1 overall to the Raiders. And I'll be completely honest with you, this isn't really a draft where I see trading down or trading up or anything like that really needing to be a big deal. I could understand it for maybe like a Caleb Downs or something, but to me, like I mean, I'm just not as excited about this draft as I have been in years past. This draft just doesn't feel that exciting. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not.
I always think the draft is exciting, so I'm gonna have to disagree.
Okay.
I do think it's an interesting draft. Like the best players maybe aren't the most exciting positions.
Mm-hmm.
So I could like there's only going to be that one high profile early quarterback probably. There's only, all of the wide receivers seem to have question marks surrounding them
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, there's only the one marquee running back. So there are a lot of good players, but a lot of them are defensive ends and offensive tackles and linebackers. And while those positions are important and, you know, very impactful in the game of football, when you're a team drafting, you don't get out of bed excited to draft a defensive tackle. So I do think from that standpoint, it's very like, yeah, if you drafted Carnell Tate, you're really excited because that's a fun new wide receiver that you get to watch, and he'll make an impact on every play. A defensive end might have 2 sacks a game, and that's it. And that's huge, but it's not. So I do agree, like the big marquee, like, ooh, where's the quarterback going to go? Like, there's no question marks about that,
Mm-hmm.
at least at the top of the draft. I think the first 10 to 15 picks aren't going to be maybe marquee, but I think the last half teams are going to scramble to go and get these. There's going to be the Ty Simpsons of the world and some of these quarterbacks and wide receivers that are not at the top that teams are going to move up for. But I do think the top 15 will be pretty stagnant. Maybe.
Before we get to you, Matthias, real quick, I just think you made a great point about wide receivers. Outside of Tate, I really don't think there's anybody that exciting. But like to your point again about not the most exciting positions, even though I think Caleb Downs is an exciting player, I don't really think he's an exciting position because he's a defensive back. I mean, so
He's not a corner. He's a safety
he's a
too.
safe.
That's what's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, cornerbacks are the big difference makers in terms of usually how you draft them high, but he's a great safety. So, but Matthias, I want to give you some time here on your thoughts of the draft. I mean, for me, like, outside of Fernando Mendoza, there's not really like a player I could say I'm really, really excited about getting drafted. Like, and Caleb Downs for the Buckeyes. I mean, what do you make of this draft this year and what we should see? And if you have any bold predictions, maybe.
I don't really have any bold predictions, but I am going to do something that I rarely do in my career, in which is try to help the Browns. In which I have
This isn't
my
going to go well.
in which I have my little NFL draft simulator. And for the people at home, if you weren't around 4 or 5 years ago, the last time I tried helping the Browns, I said they should trade for Deshaun Watson. So this is going to go well.
Hey, man, you were not in the minority there.
You were not in the minority, yeah.
Everybody thought it was a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Until everything else came out.
Even after that stuff came out, from a football standpoint, should have been a good idea.
Yeah.
That part sucks, and it still sucks. But like from a football player standpoint, it should have worked.
Fair enough. So here's my second crack at it.
Whoever this is going to tear their ACL in training camp. So wish them luck.
Listen, don't say that. I think for the sixth pick, the Browns, they have a lot of needs, but I think one of them should be trying to help their wide receiver core. I have Mekhi Lemon going 6.
I like Lemon
from USC.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not going to lie and be like I'm the biggest Mekhi Lemon fan in the world, but I think he would definitely help the core. And
silky smooth player. Jerry Jeudy, but like way better.
Okay. And then for the 24th pick, because I only did the first round because I'm a casual in the draft, only in the draft. The best available edge, I would have Keldrick Falk. I just think that working on that defensive line. You said what?
I said he's an interesting player. I really like him.
Yeah, I feel like you just have the mixed bag of having probably one of the best defensive ends this game has seen in Myles Garrett, but then almost nothing else. So like you could at least have a player study under Myles Garrett, and then if Garrett leaves, he's there. If he stays, you have somebody that has been practicing with him on the other side of that edge. And I feel like for the Browns, or I feel like for any rebuild, you got to start with offensive line, then defense, and then everything else. And then this just kind of gives the best of both worlds of giving Shador or whoever the heck's going to play quarterback, a new wide receiver, a shiny new toy even to play with. And then for the defensive side, you have Keldrick Falk, which also should be able to impact, if not immediately, in like a couple years.
The cool thing about Keldrick Falk is he's only 21 and he'll be 22 in September. So you're getting a pretty young player, and especially in this day and age of college football where guys are staying longer and longer, to get a guy and draft him at 21 and be able to develop somebody that's that young before he even plays a snap is intriguing. There's guys that have come in younger, 20 or whatever, 19, 20, but in the NFL, it's rare to draft a guy who's 21. So I think you bring up the good point of Myles isn't going to last forever. And so it's a position that I hadn't thought about for the Browns, like as a fan looking at it, but it's interesting of 4 years from now when this guy's 25 and Myles Garrett is 35 or 34, you can easily just pass the torch to this kid and say, here you go, buddy. You've learned under the greatest. Go be great. Put that on. That's it.
Yeah, put that on the turn on closed captions for that one.
Yeah, that was fire.
I agree with you guys 100% on a lot of the draft strategies here. And I'll be completely honest with you. I just don't know what it is about this 2026 draft overall, but I'm not excited. And maybe it's just because the Browns aren't projected to be very good anyway. Maybe it's because the Dolphins also aren't projected to be very good, as the Dolphins are my second team. So, I mean,
You should be stoked about the draft if your teams are bad. That's what it's all about.
I was going to say, tell that to Bears fans. This used to be their favorite part of the season.
The draft is the only time in the NFL where everybody wins.
Well, you don't know when the regular season starts. That's the thing.
Well, except if you're a Bengals fan and you trade away your 10th pick.
And with all the offensive linemen that are in this draft class, if you're the Bengals, you are stupid if you do not draft an offensive lineman. I just want to.
Well, good thing they have a first-round pick to get one.
Yeah. We're moving on to the NBA.
Can we talk? Did you guys talk about that trade last week?
No, we didn't. I don't think it happened.
I don't think. Can I give it 30 seconds?
Sure, give it 30 seconds.
What in the flying hell are they doing down there? It's 29-year-old defensive tackle who's gonna make $30 million, and you're like, we'll give him the 10th pick. Like, that's a premium draft capital. Nobody else was offering that. Nobody.
Like, at all.
You are 100% right, Jake.
You still only have one. If you were going to do that, you should have just re-signed Trey Hendrickson. You still only have one defensive player. He just happens to play inside now instead of outside. Like, their offseason, if I was a Bengals fan, I would be so frustrated every single day. Because they refuse to give Joe Burrow an O-line, and they refuse to give him a defense. And they're like, you know what else he needs? Let's give him 7 wide receivers so he has a lot of guys to throw to. It's unbelievable.
They better draft some offensive linemen and protect Joe Burrow for once.
They're just going to take a running back, probably.
They probably will.
Or defense even, something, because they don't have that either. Let's move on to the NBA, gentlemen. I think
one year the Angels in the MLB draft took 27 straight pitchers. The Bengals need to take 27 straight defensive players in this draft.
One of them will pan out.
And I don't think any of the pitchers have panned out for the Angels, but that's an Angels problem. Let's get to the NBA.
All right. So here are our predictions from last week. Jake, since you were off last week, do you have anything in particular you want to mention about your predictions? And you know the rules and the stakes, right?
I do know the rules. I do know the stakes. I'm officially campaigning right now. I'm going for second. That's obvious. I do it every time. And I will do it every time. I don't have a lot. I'm a little concerned about some of my picks now that I'm looking at them. Specifically that Boston isn't winning in 4. So that's on me. My bad.
But hey, you know what? You still get 2 points just if Boston wins the series. So you only get 3 if you predict the correct amount of games. And if you predict the wrong series winner, it's like all of us might have with the Houston Lakers series. But like, you know, if it still goes 6 or 7 games, you know, we could still get 1 point.
No.
Oh, I did it to.
Come on, you can't say it and expect me not to.
I did it to ourselves. I did it to ourselves. 6.
You really did, man. One thing I found really
means nothing. Yeah,
I will say this. I found it really interesting that we all had basically like a lot of the same winners and numbers almost all the way through. Like there's not a ton of like major differences other than Matthias having Minnesota. But like a lot of us are within like 1 game of each other with the same team, which is pretty interesting that we all see this the same. Yeah. Good for me and you who haven't watched that much to be level with Matthias.
I've started watching the NBA. I'm more of an NBA guy when it comes to the late regular season and going into the playoffs. I don't watch it like from like October to February. I'll be completely honest. I'm more of like a late season because that's when it really gets down to the wire and whatnot. So to me, you know, that's what I literally look at for me in the NBA is like when it gets down to the wire, because I'm just not a big fan of how the teams play in the regular season overall. But granted, you know, it still matters for the most part. And at the end of the day, the play-in tournament was fun this year. I will admit it, even though I still think the play-in tournament's dumb. It was fun for the most part. Those were some classic games. And I'm just excited to see what takes place. And last week, you know, because the play-in teams weren't decided yet, Matthias and I should mention that we did jinx Golden State and Charlotte by saying they'd probably make the playoffs. They did.
Charlotte, I thought
Orlando, the play-in game and the first game of the series against Detroit really impressed me. Now, tonight they didn't impress me at all. Orlando let Detroit go on a 30-3 run in the third quarter to start it off.
Bro,
30
I
to
turned
3.
it off at halftime, and
Yeah.
I forgot to turn it back on when halftime was over. And I pulled it up on my TV, and it was 72-49. And I said, nope, turning
Yeah.
that off.
Yeah, Orlando was pretty much cooked in this game. And, Detroit, we'll go series to series here from what we've seen so far. But, Detroit to me is still winning this series. I think they're going to win both games in Orlando. Orlando might make it go 6, but, we all predicted Detroit in 5. And maybe Orlando just got hot at the right moment. And remember a few years back, I think it was 2019, when Orlando beat Toronto, who ended up winning the finals in the first game of their series in the first round, and then didn't win a game the remainder of the series. That's how this kind of feels. Paolo Banchero has still been going off for the most part. He's been more impressive than I thought, and I really thought that the Magic were going to be tanking to get Jamal Mosley fired. Jamal Mosley might have had his job safe for the most part, based on what happened. You don't think so?
I think he could win this series and he's still getting fired.
Jake representing BW over there.
I'm just clicking at this point. I am listening. I don't really know anything about Jamal Mosley, so.
Yeah, no. I mean, this was just this has been a team that you would expect much more, like even us just talking about it.
Hell yeah,
like just even us talking about it, or last week we were like, yeah, like this is a 4th seed team. And even at the beginning of the season, we were like, look how this roster is constructed. And they got Desmond Bane. Like this should be a time. And it just hasn't. So I don't think his job is safe. But one funny thing about our predictions that I should have at least taken into account, that I think one of the YouTubers I watch pointed out, I think it's going to be Kenny Beecham. So shout out King of the Fourth Quarter. Every time since it's still going. Every time since 2008 that the Magic were in the playoffs, they took at least one game, no matter the series.
That makes sense. The Magic just don't get swept.
Yeah, I do feel like
it was like they should have.
Yeah, the Jamal Mosley point. I do feel like we've kind of all season, as a casual viewer, been like, why do the Magic suck?
Yeah.
So I guess from that standpoint, it's interesting that they're here, but also I kind of feel like there's way more talent on Orlando than maybe we're giving credit for. Because I do feel like we've been underwhelmed by them all year, but they're kind of good.
Yeah.
I saw a clip. Today that said, "Do the Magic have 3 of the best 5 players on the floor at any given time?" And I think it might have been right. It's Cade and the Duran kid, and then it's all Magic players.
Franz Wagner is a pretty good piece to have too.
Yeah.
Paolo,
Franz, and
Bane.
Yeah.
The Magic are still underperforming, though. There's no doubt. They shouldn't have.
No
one thought they were going to be the 8th seed. I mean, I think when we were looking at predictions for the NBA season, I think everyone thought New York and Cleveland, and then everybody else. The Magic might be the team that a lot of people predicted the Magic to be like the Pistons this year, the team that would be number 1 in the East, and no one would see it coming. And they absolutely have been underachievers, in my opinion.
That's why I think this is still a weird series to me, and
pardon my dog
really
in the background.
I really don't think Detroit is going to go into Orlando and win both. They might go into Orlando and win one, but I think the Magic are going to snipe another game in this series. I think they're just, at the end of the day, sometimes it boils down to this is just basketball. And if you have more talent than the other team, you can win on any given night.
Yeah.
Now, tonight wasn't that night, or the night of this recording, it wasn't that night, but.
Yeah. I mean, that's also just, implementing that into another series. I felt the same, but different about the Minnesota series, because when they came out against the Nuggets game 1, They came out guns blazing. They silenced the crowd. They went on a pretty good lead, and they just like punched Denver right in the mouth. But then, like, kind of like you said, the talent of just Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic was like, actually, we're not losing this one, despite Jokic having a quote unquote bad game. And then despite Rudy Gobert having a great game. And then next game, I was like, oh, I mean, all throughout like the anticipation throughout the next game, I'm like, that might have been Minnesota's best shot, and they lost it because I knew this series was going to be insane, but I'm like, man, like it looks like they had them dead in the water, and then they blew it just for it to look like they were dead in the water game 2. And then Ant-Man going like, actually, I don't want to lose this. And then of all people, Dante DiVincenzo, another one of my fantasy players, just decided to help finally. And yeah, that's another series that I think is going to be the swing of the pendulum of which star is going to do more, which is always exciting between these two teams because they have amazing stars.
And it kind of is the only series, maybe the Lakers, where it's like a legitimate star.
Yeah.
Top 10 player on each team going back and forth. And it's the first round. So like, you're not going to get a lot of those anyways, but it's how different these series are. It's like for Orlando, it's like, yeah, you just have more talent in general. So you could be able to hang despite Detroit maybe having the best 2 players. You have the next best 3, where it's like the Minnesota series with Denver is like Jokic and Ant-Man are both unbelievable players. So they're both going to just get theirs, and whoever just gets theirs more might just win the game. It's just, we've been looking forward to this series all year.
Yeah.
We've been looking forward to this series all year. Matthias, I know, has specifically, and it's the first round.
Matthias said it last week. It's the series to watch in the first round. I think he's 100% right. We even made a reel on it. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch the reel. Go watch last week's episode. Matthias said it best. Denver, Minnesota is the series to watch in this first round. And it's the only series where we do have some difference in opinion on the outcome. Either team, though, could win it. And I think you got to remember, too, these two teams match up really, really well for each other where it could go either way. Denver won a series against Minnesota in 5 a few years back, and then Minnesota came back and won a series in 7 the following season. So I think these two teams just match up really, really well with each other. And like, to your point, they both have a legitimate superstar player that could take them over the top. And I think we're going to see this series go 7 games, and I think it's going to be something to watch. I think you're right, though, too, because let's move on to the Lakers and the Houston series. Even though the Lakers...
This should have been a series to watch.
It should have been a series.
It doesn't look like it yet, but this series hasn't gone to Houston yet. The Rockets have been a better home team than road team this year. And
Kevin Durant is playing
series.
Kevin Durant is playing some of the worst basketball that I've ever seen anyone play, and I can't fathom what he's doing. And I thought this Şengün kid was supposed to be nasty. Yeah. He's not. I'm sorry.
Okay. The Rockets are going back home. I think we need to give them the benefit of the doubt that they have.
Şengün, I can't say that. I'm going to hold that in.
Şengün and KD have not played the best basketball in this series, but I think we might have a different story in Houston. That's all I'm going to say.
I hope so, because the Houston Rockets were my team this year that I was really high on going into I don't know anything about this league. I just know players. And I looked at their roster and I said, I know like 9 of those guys. They're going to be fine. And I watched them last year. I really loved the Thompson twin that they have. And I was like, this Şengün kid is great. And now you got KD. And I wish KD would have played like this in 2018. We probably would have won the series.
Which also, to that credit, I would like to shout out, I almost said Doc Rivers, never mind, JJ Redick, because like when I thought of this series, I thought of the Christmas Day game when it was just LA being run over like a freight train. But what I didn't take into account was after that, the Lakers kind of figured them out the same way that they did game 2 with KD, which was, hey, let's not let KD score. Let's make him pass. And then the rest of the team has to figure itself out. And it's not the biggest rocket science in the world, but somehow the Rockets aren't figuring this out. And like to your point about
Put the
Şengün,
closed captions on for that too. That was good. That flowed.
thank you. But for Şengün specifically, like at least to me, he's supposed to be like this Jokic prototype of like being able to play inside, outside, and also makes the great pass. And like he does most of those things, but he also doesn't have Jokic's mind, which isn't an insult at all. But on top of that, it's also I also another Kenny Beecham thing. So shout out King of the Fourth Quarter for my stats. But for big men, he's in the or either big men or in the league, he's in the 50th percentile for scoring on the inside. And even
That's Şengün.
Yeah.
I heard that stat too. I think we must have watched the same thing.
Yeah, and then also from that video, like he only went to the free throw line 4 times. Where like it's Jackson Hayes and DeAndre dominating. That's his competition. And it really shouldn't be that much of competition, but I don't know. Also, it just seems like LeBron just quote unquote regressed to instead of being LeBron, he is Suns Chris Paul. And like I guess that's his floor now in the playoffs. And he's like been finding the right play almost every time. It's ridiculous.
Well, we'll see what happens in Houston. Houston was 30-11 at home this year. They're a much better home team than they are a road team. I'm not counting this series out yet. No, I'm not counting it out like I'm counting out the Raptors against the Cavs. I think that series is definitely
the Rockets. The Rockets better adjust. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, and you never know in the course of the series. I agree with you. They have to adjust. There's no doubt about it. It's a 7-game series for a reason.
Like they got
Rockets go down 3-0. We'll have a different story.
Twice.
They got blitzed 2 games in a row.
By Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, and Jake LaRavia.
Hey, that's Ohio Mr. Basketball, Luke Kennard to you, all right?
Okay.
Let's move on to
him and LeBron. Ohio Mr. Basketballs. They look the same.
The Cavs play in Ohio. They play in the Raptors right now, and they are kicking some royal ass. The Raptors have no chance in this series. I think we can agree. Do we want to give them 1 game in Toronto?
I still think they're going to pull out 2.
You think they're going to pull out 2?
Yeah.
So you're like thinking like
I think they are definitely going to pull out 1. The Cavs have been
yeah, I agree
very. I don't think they've been a little maybe not lax, but they've let Toronto back into these games both times. Well, not the first time. The second game, they kept letting Toronto hang. And if they keep doing that, Toronto will bite.
Well, it's in their building.
I'm going to be honest, I like 3 players on their entire roster, so I'm kind of out.
I think this series is going to go 5. I think Game 3 will be won by the Raptors, but if the Cavs win Game 3, I think this series might end in a sweep. But still, maybe Game 4, the Raptors will bite out 1. To me, the Raptors just look outclassed. They look outmatched. They just don't look that enthusiastic of a team for the playoffs yet. They have a nice future to build upon, but I don't think they're ready for the big boys yet, and that's why I'm picking the Cavs to win in 5 still. But we'll have to see about that. Honestly, I don't really have much for this series besides the fact the Cavs just overall look like they're so far ahead of the Raptors, it's not even funny.
Yeah, for kind of my reasoning on why I think it's still going to go 6. Mm-hmm. Once again, like you said, that we haven't seen the other team at home yet. And on top of that, just like Brandon Ingram's going to have a game. It's just going to happen. And especially the way, like you said, Jake, the Cavs have been lax when they have a lead. And also, they have let a bad 3-point shooting team put up mediocre 3-point numbers. And that's not good because it just takes one time for them to start sagging off on BI or start playing off of or playing off of Scotty, where Scotty's Barnes just going to somehow remember that he could shoot. And just like, I think that's going to be 1 game taken in Toronto, and then they'll steal Game 5, and then they get taken down Game 6. That's kind of my prediction where I'm at.
since we're a little pressed for time, Oklahoma City, Phoenix. I don't think there's much to say here. Do you guys agree? I think
Yeah.
OKC easily is going to win this series.
I'll say this about SGA. For a man who gets to the free throw line a bazillion times, the one time I needed him to make a free throw, he missed. And he cost me like $10. This dude shot 0 of 1 from the free throw line. The one time I bet on him 20 plus, and he scored like 19. I'm like, really? So I'm out. I don't like the way he plays the game, but that's all I got.
Knicks, Hawks. The Knicks are going to win this series, I think, but the Hawks are making things fun.
The Knicks suck.
I just love that. I just love how the Hawks fans kind of tortured the Knicks fans with that win the other day, because the Knicks fans were pissed and they started booing CJ McCollum, and it just. But to me, there's still not much on the series. I still think the Knicks are going to win a game in Atlanta, and I just think the Knicks are the better team. I really do.
They probably are.
Ohio native CJ McCollum.
Ohio native CJ McCollum.
With the breakout game, or not even breakout game. I was thinking of this while at work the other day, where like I feel like CJ McCollum could be the Trae Young archetype, but like if Trae Young started his career with Damian Lillard.
Fair enough. That's a fair point.
And it's like they both, neither of them play defense at all, but their offense, they are able to make their own shot creation. They can catch and shoot. But yeah, also CJ had to learn to pass because he was on the Wizards. So that definitely helped when the Hawks main star didn't show up. But yeah, I'm done.
All good. Boston, Philly. The Sixers took the second game, but I still think the Celtics are going to win this series in about 5 games. I think it'll be a sweep, but
I need 5.
That's all I got. Sick nickname. VJ
Celtics
Max.
are still going to win this series. But yeah, good for the Sixers for winning this one. But, I also want to say, I don't think, and this is not just my bias against Boston, but I don't think we should just say it's a given the Celtics are going to go to the finals. I still think there's some good teams in the East that could challenge them. The Celtics could be favored. I'm not arguing that they shouldn't be, but I think that you could see a potential that New York beats them.
That monster human being who just took that 3. Sorry. Every time I watch an NBA game, I find people I have no idea that they're on a team. Is that Malawatch?
And quickly on San Antonio and Portland, hopefully everything's good with Wemby, because the Spurs should be fine either way. They still are built to be the better team, but Wemby, that was a scary injury yesterday. Hopefully he's doing all right. But Portland is fun to watch. I think we could all agree.
I love Portland.
I love watching Portland. Next year when Damian Lillard gets back, this team could be a top 4 team in the West.
As somebody who's watched one Portland Trailblazer game all season long, I'm all in.
I've as someone who has watched 1.5 Trailblazers games this year, Denny is still every bit of an all-star. The playoffs hasn't changed that yet, and Scoot Henderson has been playing the way, I don't even say that you would want to. He's playing his way of basketball, because he put up 30, and as a league point guard, he did that with no assists, but still, like, he was able to get his buckets. And yeah, I think this series can be scary, but I do believe that Keldon Johnson and Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, they should be enough to get past this team.
And that's going to be it for the NBA today. All right.
Just one cool nugget that my college basketball brain really liked about this
Denver
series.
Nugget?
Denver Nugget.
Yeah, a Denver Nugget on the Portland series. Donovan Clingan and Stephon Castle, national championship teammates at UConn, playing against each other in the series. I thought that was fun.
That is pretty fun.
The point guard who threw a ton of lobs and dunk-in passes to Clingan for easy buckets, playing against each other as national champions. Lottery picks.
Not too much on baseball today. We'll definitely talk about more baseball next week. I will just say, how the heck did the Guardians lose a series to the team that has the worst ERA in all of Major League Baseball? That's my only complaint. They need to hit.
They're a weird team.
They are a weird team.
Because it's 180 games.
62.
162 games, still a lot of time to recover, but at least they had a nice comeback win yesterday with Chase DeLauder and Kyle Manzardo leading the way there. Let's get to these comments that we have. One on Instagram. We had a comment on Instagram from the David Lee, David Lee. Tomlin greater than Rivers for show on a reel about Doc Rivers being out as the Milwaukee Bucks head coach. And Matthias actually made a great comparison in that reel about how Doc Rivers is the modern day Mike Tomlin. And that was the comment we got there. So we want to thank him for that comment. Thank you very much for watching that reel on Instagram. And then our buddy A Rally Ohio, formerly I Love DK Metcalf, he wants us to talk about D3 baseball. And I don't know.
All the Wallace, really good this year.
They are really good this year.
Really good. Again,
really good.
I was going to say Baltimore Wallace really good every year.
Yeah. They really good baseball program, and I always root for them.
Got to root for our Yellow Jackets, doing a great job on the diamond as they always do. So yeah, he had a comment on D3 baseball, wants us to bring it on the show. And I'm trying to think what else is going on. I mean, the Angels have been putting up a lot of runs against the Yankees, and Mike Trout looks like an MVP, but at the same time, it's the Angels, and we know they're going to go nowhere. That's one baseball talking point.
I'm just happy to see Mike Trout hitting the ball.
Yeah, but I would really like to see Mike Trout in the playoffs, and we only have one time ever.
Yeah, that unfortunately might never happen, but I'm just happy to see him playing like Mike Trout again.
We need to make a petition to get this man traded. Get him to the Milwaukee Brewers. Get him to the Cleveland Guardians. Get him to... Okay, those are dreams because those teams won't spend money to do that anyway, but get him to the...
They can't. Nobody's trading for that contract, bro.
Get him to the Yankees. I don't even care. Get him to the Yankees. Get this
man definitely to the don't get him to the Yankees.
Oh, yeah, and also the Mets losing streak continues.
No, it's over.
Mets are they won today?
They won today. Like an hour.
They were up 3-0 yesterday and blew it. So, okay, the Mets drought is finally over.
Only 12 in a row.
Second team, so I'm happy to hear that.
Real quick on the Mets.
Yeah.
This is a general question. Anybody can answer this. If you've lost 11 straight games, would you rather the first inning you go up 2-0 or go down 2-0?
Up 2-0.
I disagree.
I'd rather go down.
I'd rather go down 2-0 so I can turn the TV off and not worry about it. Because we've lost 11 straight games. And if we go up 2-0, I'm going to have to sit there for the next 2 hours knowing that we're going to blow it.
Yeah.
That's my only take. I'd rather say 2-0, turn the TV off.
As the Mets are my second team, I am glad the drought is now over, and I have to catch up on some more Mets baseball because I think we're missing Pete Alonso, and we really need to see this pitching get better because this pitching
Let's go Mets.
sucks. It sucks in New York right now with the Mets, not the Yankees. But I'm not a Yankees fan at all, so I want to emphasize that. But that's going to be it for today's edition of Raw Takes & Co. For Matthias Sandahar, Jake Valensik, I'm Andrew Hody. We will be back with you next week. Great to have all three of us back on the show. First time in a while. So, all right, everybody. Have a good one. Leave a comment. We'll give you a shout out on the show as well, just like we did for the David Lee and A Rally Ohio. Have a good one, everybody.